Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Poets and Quants' online MBA admissions panel. From application to acceptance with Georgetown, Carnegie Mellon Tepper, Johns Hopkins Carey, and American Kogod. I'm your host, Christy Blyzeffer of Poets and Quants. Please feel free to use the Q&A functions to submit any questions you have for our panelists, and I'll do my best to get to those at the end of the session. And let's begin by getting to know our guests today. If you'd each take a minute to introduce yourself and your business school, its mission and values, location, reputation, all that kinds of good stuff. And Anne, let's start with you.
Sure. Thanks, Christy, for having us. Ann P&Q, happy to be here. My name is Ann Kilby. I'm Associate Dean of MBA Admissions for Georgetown McDonough School of Business. So we're based in Washington, D.C. We're a top 20 program. Our distinctions are being globally focused, globally minded, global peer group, as well as the access to DC and being a values-based institution, being the oldest Jesuit institution in the United States, founded when the US Constitution was signed. We have a rich history and legacy of being a values-based institution that really comes through in our collaborative, team-oriented, service-minded culture. Thank you.
Very good. JR.
Hi, everyone. As many of you know, my name is JR. I'm the Executive Director of Master's Admissions here at the Tepper School at Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Excited to be here with everybody. Carnegie Mellon and the Tepper School, we sit at the intersection of business, technology, and data. So if you're looking to make sure that you have those data-informed decisions, but human-driven results, we could be that right program for you. We have a wide variety of programs, but in particular, today we have both our online hybrid regular MBA program, and we also have an accelerated version for those that already have business education.
Very good. How about Jennifer?
Oh, thanks, Christy. This is great. I'm happy to be here. My name is Jennifer Lambton, and I have been at the Johns Hopkins Carey Business School for about 4 years now as Assistant Director of Admissions, and I have almost exclusively been helping part-time flexible MBA students apply. So that's my area of expertise. So most of you guys are familiar with Johns Hopkins. We have our primary location in Baltimore, a brand new beautiful space in DC, right near the Capitol. So the oldest research institution in the country, but the Carey Business School is pretty young, about 25 years. So that makes it a super modern, innovative program that's constantly evolving. Thanks, Christy.
Yeah, absolutely. Young, but really kind of making its mark. How about American Kogod with Erin?
Thank you. Last but not least, so my name is Erin Hall. I'm the Director of Graduate Admissions here at the Kogod School of Business. We're in American University, so also in Washington, D.C. So hopefully people, attending today are interested in D.C. because there's quite a few of us on the panel. But Kogod School of Business is known for two areas of expertise. We have programs in a lot of different things, finance, marketing, accounting, etc. But across all of our programs, we infuse AI as well as sustainability. So those are the two areas that we're really, really well known for. If you're in our MBA program, you're going to be learning how AI is going to affect MBA careers. If you're in our finance program, you're going to be learning about how AI is affecting there. So we see AI infused throughout our curriculum. Same thing for sustainability. And so that's also a big thing. If you're an accounting major, you're likely going to be taking carbon accounting, which is something that has a sustainability focus within the accounting space. So that's something that we're really well known for. So those are our two sort of like special areas, but we have programs across the board.
Absolutely. I had the pleasure of speaking with alumni from each of your schools yesterday for our alumni and student panels. And, anybody interested should really go check that out as well to get that student perspective. And it was a very lively conversation. And I'm happy to now be talking to you guys. JR, let's start kind of diving in a little bit to the nuts and bolts of your online MBA at Tepper. Tell us a little bit more about kind of, the options available, the cadence, the balance between live and asynchronous content, curriculum, any of that kind of stuff.
Sure. Well, I'll start with really explaining our name, right? Like when you talk about online MBA programs, we try to call ours an online hybrid MBA because we
Mhm.
do have required in-person experiences for our students. We have those and they're called access weekends. Now they have evolved over time because when the program first started, it was 16 weekends in a row that you had to be in person over the 2.5 years of the program. Now, half of those are in person and half are virtual. There's four in your first year that are required academic experiences. They are your class kickoffs. When we moved over to this online environment, I think about 15 years ago, so we've been doing this for a little while, our professor said we're not just going to go in the virtual environment. We need to be able to figure out how do we make sure that learning environment is not going to change for them. And our class kickoffs are a big portion of that. So after you do those class kickoffs on the weekends, those are Saturday and Sundays. You will be in class on Tuesday and Thursday evenings virtually. We have three sections. There's one at 5:30, one at 7, and one at 8:30. So we are a very national program in our online program, and you get the first priority for whatever part of the country you live in. So East Coasters always get the 5:30 as their first preference, West Coasters as the 8:30 section. If you want a different one, you can always take a seat in the other section if that works best for you. Um, Also on our side, like when you are an MBA student, you're an MBA student for us, so you can also take things in person if you have the flexibility to be in Pittsburgh, and you can do that not only in the Tepper School but across all of Carnegie Mellon. So we're a little bit different in the way that we do have an online hybrid program, but you're an MBA student and you have access to everything all of our MBAs have access to.
Wow. Very good. Do you have any concentrations or specializations that you can kind of delve into?
We do. So on the concentration side, we have, I think, 15 different concentrations that you can choose
Wow.
from because we have over 60 electives each year in our online format, as well as I think there are four tracks. Now, the concentrations for us are three classes in a given area. So you would create like your unique set of skills. Tracks are more focused with a tailored capstone. As Aaron was saying, obviously AI is one of those new buzzwords out there. Carnegie Mellon is the birthplace of AI, and we not only have an AI and business concentration within Tepper, we also have our students be able to take AI courses across the university in computer science, engineering, public policy, etc. So you can have access to all of that great knowledge.
Absolutely. Great. Jennifer, tell us about Johns Hopkins online MBA.
Sure. So I tell students, Christy, that they could comprehensively take classes in one of four formats. So you have 27 total 2 credit classes and 8-week terms. So it's moving at a quick pace. And the
Yeah.
feedback I get is working business students love this. They want to get through the 8 weeks and move on to the next thing. So it could be asynchronous, so working on assignments primarily at your own pace throughout those 8 weeks with a couple Zoom sessions. Synchronous, like JR described, and ours are 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern time, one night a week. So I guess if you're in a different time zone, see if that works. We have in-person opportunities, which we call business residencies and accelerated electives. Come to Baltimore or DC for like 2 or 3 days. If you can do it, students love it. I'm with the professors of Carnegie Mellon. If you can do like a little something in person, it totally enhances it.
Yeah.
And then we have we call them global immersions. So 7 to 9 day international classes offered throughout the year. And most students try and do that like once, if they can, to enhance the program. And specialization wise, you can choose up to 3 from 8 different areas. I'll say the big ones: healthcare management, not surprising at Johns Hopkins; AI, sounds like that's a recurring theme. And I think the most popular is still leadership. Again, most MBA students are interested in leadership. Um,
Absolutely.
yep.
Great. Um, Aaron, how about at American Kogod? What is that? What is the cadence and the balance look like there?
Yeah, absolutely. For our online MBA, students have the option, we try and make it as flexible as possible. So students can do it quickly within like a year and a half, or they can spend up to 5 years trying to finish the program, depending on how many classes they want to take each semester. Similar to what Jennifer was saying, we do 8-week terms, so you can take, some students will take one class per every 8 weeks. Some students will maybe say, you know what? The holiday season is always really busy, so I'm going to take a class from August to October, and then I'm not going to take a class October to December, and then I'm going to come back again in January. Or some students go, oh my gosh, I'm going to take 2 classes in each 8-week term, and I'm going to really push through and get this done. So it's up to you, and you work with our academic advisors to figure out that planning. Additionally, if you're, I know JR mentioned, and I think Jennifer did too, if you're in the area, you're welcome to take an in-person class. Maybe, your favorite professor is teaching an elective and you're just like, I want to be in person for that one. You're welcome to do that. Pretty much all of our elective classes, as well as all of our online programs, are in the evening. We are on East Coast time, so we have classes that start at 5:30 or at 8:30. We have seen students on the West Coast make that work. The 8:30 time can usually work pretty well for them. We occasionally see international students doing that as well. So we do have a couple students from, I think they're in Zimbabwe, and they're doing the program, which
Yeah.
if you're okay with a weird sleep schedule, I've seen it happen, but that's not really, we don't necessarily recommend it. And then, as was also kind of mentioned, we do have immersions as well. So we have two, you can do the program completely online, except for these 2-week-long immersions. One immersion is in Washington, D.C., and then the other one is global. So we go someplace different every year. We've done Madrid, we've done Brussels, we've done Beijing. Depends on the year and where there's something interesting, MBA wise happening in the world, and we'll go there for a week. So you get that in-person interactions with your classmates, even though the majority of classes are online. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I was supposed to talk.
I think you did a great overview there. Anne, how about at Georgetown?
Yeah, sure. So at Georgetown, the Flex MBA online program, it's geared towards working professionals, and you can expedite it in 24 months. You can elongate it up to 5 years. Typically, most of our online students are completing in 3 years. In terms of timing of classes, they are 6:30 p.m. to 9:20 p.m. Monday through Thursday. You're going to end up having class 2 nights a week. You'll either be on a Monday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Thursday schedule. We have a mixture of synchronous and asynchronous courses where either it will be completely live or it'll be half and half, where either the first half of the class is live and the second half is async, or the reverse. And that will be known to you when you register for classes. We have 2 required in-person residencies, excuse me, in DC, the beginning of your first year to really establish camaraderie and community, and then the beginning of your second year as again to come back together. You actually, for your residency, are going to overlap with our part-time MBA students, our Flex MBA students, and have a complete focus on leadership communications for that second residency. And it's going to be very experiential in how we teach you that topic. And then the third time that you're going to come together in person is for our global business experience. This is a signature experience. It's a staple across all of our MBA programs. It's a requirement for everyone. It's built into the curriculum. It's a time for you to have a real life international consulting project where we source all of the projects. Our students then rank their preferences and then are assigned a team project. We make sure we have great diversity of consulting types, so HR consulting, technology consulting, supply chain consulting, et cetera, and diverse locations around the world. And so you're guaranteed to have international consulting experience when you graduate. The last thing I would mention is every 8 years, our MBA program the curriculum is completely redone. It's relooked at, reassessed. Now, the online MBA has only been around for 3 years, so this will be the first time, but we are up on that 8-year mark for the MBA. And so the students starting in fall 2026 across full-time, part-time, and online are going to experience the new curriculum. And the new curriculum, the main benefit is that it has career pathways for your electives. So you can move into these career tracks to really help you be prepared for recruitment. We also have now a required AI course in your first semester. Now it's more focused on ethical use of AI because at Georgetown, again, we're very known about ethical leadership. So we're leaning on that strength there. And that's it. So I just wanted to make sure I plugged the new curriculum and the benefit there, but otherwise that's a standard structure of our program.
Yeah, so people applying now for the online MBA, would they be doing the new curriculum? Exciting.
Mhm.
All right. Okay, going to Jennifer now, if you would. People watching a video like this are maybe just like weighing their options. How do you help people who are trying to decide between, either a full-time MBA, a specialized business degree, maybe a part-time? What kind of advice do you have for people to help them through that decision process?
Sure, Christy. So, right, I get that that question conversation all the time with applicants throughout the week. Um, at Hopkins, I mean, you can do the MBA in three formats, maybe like all of us here. So, we're talking about our part-time online program. We have a full-time in-person program, as well as a newly launched executive MBA starting next fall. Um, so if applicants tend to be a little bit younger in their career, so maybe 5 to 7 years of work experience, um, potentially wanting to make a big pivot, have the opportunity to leave their position and relocate, then maybe a full-time program. Um, if the idea of going in person throughout the day in Baltimore or DC isn't feasible, um, then likely the Flex MBA is ideal. So then there's some, oh, well, am I going to get all the same resources, career coaching, clubs, organizations, international trips? I think something that all of us in common have on this panel is like, yes, absolutely. So if you're 2+ years work experience, and don't have that opportunity to go in person, it could be ideal.
Right.
And I should add, I mean, I talked to someone and a great candidate in their 50s today. Um, so I mean, it's a wide variety at Johns Hopkins. So right, 2+ years up to just lifelong learners. And then if
Yep.
you are, 10+ years on that executive track and you want a little more of an in-person structure, so required in-person experiences, maybe that EMBA is the right fit.
Absolutely. Erin, do you often have to answer this question for applicants?
I do, and I like everything Jennifer said. I agree with. But I know you kind of also mentioned talking about MBA versus a specialized master's. So
Mhm.
I think I can talk about that a little bit because I think that's a big first decision you have to make as a business student. And for students, that's really thinking about what are your goals after you graduate. So I always talk about a breadth of knowledge versus the depth of knowledge. So the
Right.
MBA is a breadth of knowledge. You are being trained to be a leader, to manage an organization. So you're going to have a little bit of finance. You're going to have a little bit of accounting. You're going to take a little bit of the AI analytics stuff we've been talking about, and you're going to have those leadership type classes so that when you graduate and you go out and you are running an organization, you are, representing, you can go into meetings with the accounting department and understand what they're talking about. And then you can switch and have a meeting with the marketing department and understand what they're talking about and see how those two things connect. That's what the MBA is training you to do. A specialized master's is giving you that depth of knowledge. You are the expert in the room so that when you are in a meeting with somebody who maybe has an MBA, you can say, look, I know you understand accounting, but you're missing this really important point here. You can point out those things because you are the expert. So if you're thinking about MBA versus specialized masters, I really think it's about who do you want to be in your career? Do you want to be that over sort of jack of all trades, or do you want to be the expert? And different people, you'd be surprised how people have different answers. There's just different personalities that want one or the other.
Yeah, absolutely. JR, do you have anything to add to that? And is this something that like your admissions offices help prospects? Do you help them through this decision process?
So we do, but I'm gonna back it up a step, right? Because everything you said was correct.
Hmm.
But let's also be honest, right? So Poets Quants having this large event, there's many different schools. We all have great programs, all have different nuances to the program. It is really hard for a candidate, in my opinion, to start navigating that and figuring out what are all those right fits because there's just so much. I
That's right.
always tell someone you need to start with the honest self-reflection first. Where are you currently at? What skills do you already have? Where do you want to go? And let that start to lead you as you talk to these different programs. And you'll be like, okay, well, this is what I really need to get. Here are my priorities. Because if you have that done first and then you start talking to schools, you'll start to know more quickly. This is a great fit. This is not a great fit. That also does not mean that you're going to have everything on your reflection list from the get-go. You're going to learn new things as you talk to each school. So you can kind of like iterate your list as it go. But if you don't do that first step, everyone you meet is going to be like, well, that sounds awesome, and that sounds awesome, and that sounds awesome. And after you meet with 20 schools, you're going to go back to yourself and say, I don't know where I want to go.
Yeah.
Please do yourself a favor and do the reflection first, and then go into these conversations. You will have a much better experience, I promise you.
Oh, that's great advice. Anne, anything to add? That that's fair enough.
They were great responses.
I like that response as much as I like the others, being honest. Well, Erin, let's just stick with the ad then. Talk about a little bit deeper those in-person residencies. Give us some examples of the type of problems, places they're going. What do those look like?
Sure, I'm happy to. So, we at Georgetown are all adjusting to the new curriculum. So since it is new, I don't have those in-person real life experiences to share yet. I know the plans, but I haven't seen it in action. The
Totally.
only thing that I can say that will be consistent and that I can give examples on is the global business experience, because that
Yeah.
has been maintained in the new curriculum, and will I think always be in the MBA curriculum
Yeah.
at Georgetown. And so I gave some examples previously about the importance of diversity of location and type of consulting projects. Just to add a little more detail, we make sure that we source different types of companies, so mom and pops to Fortune 500 companies. And when students are thinking about how to rank these experiences, they're considering their priorities. So again, how they've reflected on meeting what are their goals, what is their intention of joining the MBA program. And so typically I see students choose a project based on the type of consulting, because that is a stepping stone towards achieving their post MBA goals. But sometimes people want to make sure that they work with X company. They really want that experience. They feel like that'll be most translatable. Very rarely is it the priority, the location, unless they're wanting to like establish a reputation or presence in that location because they want to become an expat. I mean, so there are multiple factors you consider when driving that decision, but ultimately it's a really rewarding experience because you're finally really putting together all of the learnings from the classroom in this very practical way, but again, the safety of higher education. And we, on purpose, schedule your global experience right before spring break. So you have some leeway afterwards to travel while you're abroad.
Oh, that's great. JR, tell us a little bit more detail what's going on at those in-person residencies at Tepper.
Yeah, so your first year is going to be a little bit more towards classes. So we have those four. We're going to tell you in a year in advance. So I already know it's August, it's March, it's June, it's August again. We have everything mapped out so we'll be able to plan appropriately.
Yeah.
For everything that we do that is in person, we're going to cover everything once you get to that city. So, like in Pittsburgh, we cover your hotel, your food, your activities until you leave campus and town again. So we will have those things in person. We always have an optional day on Friday. We have different professors from around the university come and do workshops. We have our own executive coaches in our leadership center that coach our students. It's like a professional development day. And again, if you have that time or that need, you come in for the extra day, or you just go with the 2 day normal access weekend. What we also do in our program, we have a global consulting project, just like others had talked about here. It's a semester long. You do that work prior to going on the in-country experience, working with those in-country people, and then coming back and then finishing off the project. Now, ours is optional because not everybody either wants or has the flexibility to do that, but it's optional for our students. We also go to other cities to do career treks. We'll choose different cities. We'll visit tons of companies and alumni, etc. We also have tried to pull any experience that we feel like is critical to the MBA experience into these weekends. So we have optional weekends for case competitions, hackathons, other things. So when we really say that we've tried to take the traditional full-time in-person program and just put it in that flexible format, everything across the board has been kind of put into that. You have the same faculty, same leadership coaches, etc. Um, Trying to think if there's anything else I miss on for immersion. I don't think so. So it's been a wonderful part of our program. Sorry, lastly, I know I'm talking about all from the learning and development side. When you
Mhm.
talk to our students about this, this is where they feel like they get to know their cohorts well. You get to know the cohort above you, the cohort below you. You're leaving with that really strong network, and it's because you're with these people so often, not only in person, but also virtually on these weekends throughout the program.
Yeah, absolutely. Jennifer, did you say that you guys have required in-person residencies or were they optional at Johns Hopkins?
So everything in person, Christy, is totally optional.
Yeah.
Um, And so those things I mentioned them before. They can be 2 to 3 day. We call them business residencies or accelerated electives. So come to either Baltimore or DC. They could potentially be offered at either campus from like a Thursday to a Saturday, Wednesday to Friday, and knock out those 2 credits in an intense but fun in-person format in
Yeah.
addition to other programming, right? So maybe it could potentially coincide with a meeting of a club or organization you're a part of. Um, you know, networking happy hour, meet with your career
Yeah.
coach, etc. Um, and then the global experiences I mentioned, they're offered, I think, pretty conveniently, either winter break, spring break, or summer. They're 7 to 9 days, and they usually have a theme like healthcare in Italy, sustainability in the Galapagos Islands. They do a leadership hiking trek in Norway. And
Yeah.
the students who do these things, like, probably no surprise, like JR said, when they're there, they're bonding, you do like that follow up and they're like, that was the best, part of it. But and I know this isn't the question you're asking now, Christy, but I've talked to students, like a young female engineer in North Carolina. She's done every single class asynchronously, and she absolutely loves it. She's made
Yeah.
friends, she's networked. So in 2025, even if you can't get there in person, it takes some extra effort, but you can still get a lot out of it.
Yeah, then that's the whole point of the online MBA, right?
Right.
Engage as much as you can. Um, and so Erin, how about at American
Yeah,
Kogod?
absolutely. And I love Jennifer's last point about it really is about being flexible. And I think that sounds like a lot of our programs do focus on that. But for us, we do have two in-person immersions. One happens in Washington, D.C. So you get to come to the campus, you can meet all of your professors, all of your classmates, and that is a lot of focus on a group project. So you'll be doing a group project with your classmates because any business school has a lot of focus on group projects. That's a big part of getting an MBA is learning how to work with others and who's leading, who's following, and all those kinds of things. And learning how to do that online is awesome. But then we have this one in-person one, so you also have practice doing that in person and focusing in on our network in DC. So we're doing a lot of, site visits and networking events, et cetera, throughout that week. And then the second immersion is global. So it is an international location, different location every year. And for that, it really is a focus on learning how to do business in other cultures. So we've gone to Beijing, and I think that's always a good example because China is known for having very, I don't want to say strict, but very, specific business cultures and expectations. And so having our students learning how to learn a new culture quickly and getting to see each other and travel together, et cetera. And I think it was also a great point that JR said is we do have additional treks and things that students are always invited and welcome to join. Our accounting team always goes to London every year. Apparently there's interesting accounting stuff happening in London. It's not my area of expertise, but apparently it's amazing, and the students who go absolutely love it. It's not required, but there are all of those extra options as well. But we do have those two in person. And as JR mentioned, you can find out those dates well in advance so you can plan ahead. Mhm.
Yeah, is that global immersion? Is that like kind of a consulting type project, or is it more of like a, business environment kind of
Yeah,
trip?
great
Or
point. More business environment. So there may be a group project or something, but we're not working specifically with a consulting firm like Anne was talking about. So it is a little bit different.
gotcha, gotcha. Well, Anne, why don't you tell us what kind of advising and career support and resources online students have, even maybe compared to, a full-time student?
Sure, I'm happy to. So our online students, just like our part-time students, have the exact same access as full-time students to our career suite. So our career suite for McDonough Business School is structured in industry verticals where we have verticals with a certified career coach overseeing it. So you've got like a consulting vertical, financial services vertical, entertainment, and media, technology, et cetera, et cetera. And then outside of those well, let me stick on that for a second. So within those industry verticals, these career coaches, their job is to know who of that vertical in terms of employers, who's hiring, where they're hiring, how they're hiring,
Yeah.
and so that they can direct you appropriately. Outside of these career vertical industry coaches, we also have functional specialists. So you can work with them as well, an industry focus as well as a functional specialist. And then we also have second year peer advisors. So these are current students who have applied and have been selected by the career team to do peer-to-peer mentorship and advising, where they'll say, oh, you're interested to work at Amazon. I interviewed with them last week. Let me go through the interview questions they asked me, kind of thing. So you're working across this team. You're never assigned an advisor. Instead, you float around to whomever you want to, assuming that is helpful for you. You can always just stick with one. So same access. And then in terms of events, we offer some career events online. Some events are just in person. A lot of it depends on the employer preferences. And if our online students are in the DMV, in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, or they would like to join us, they are always welcome to join in-person events. So those are available to them. And I just want to add one thing on in-person events that I didn't mention before. If Flex Online students would like to take in-person classes, either with the part-time in-person students or the full-time in-person students, they also can opt for those electives. So we do actually have a good amount of students who are located in the DMV for the online program, and they kind of get the best of both worlds because they can come and do in person when they choose, or they can stay remotely for the majority of the programs outside of the residencies.
Yeah, such great choice. JR, tell us about the advising and career services at CMU.
Yeah, quick side note. I usually don't hear new things on a call, and I loved hearing DMV in a whole other light. I know I'm
Yeah,
the outlier on the call and not in the DMV, but I was like,
yeah.
"Oh, what is that?"
I just pretended I knew what she was talking about.
So I loved it. Okay, so we follow a similar but slightly different model. So you will have a core academic advisor, leadership coach, career coach that will be your people throughout your entire time in the program. So those are going to be the people that get to know you best. However, we also have all of these other industry experts because we follow a similar model on the career side. As Ann said, like we have our industry experts. So you can go and meet with any of those coaches at any different time if you have that other need, because every once in a while, sometimes you just get stuck or like, you know what, hey, we're working on this, or I want a second opinion, or, I know I said consulting, but like I got really interested in maybe a product marketing role. Like maybe I want to kind of go and explore that. So you have the option to explore outside of your core group, but you will have those. We also have program teams, so that's beyond these people that I just talked to you about, and they're the ones kind of running the overall strategy for these programs, and you're going to get to know those team members as well. So you'll have quite a bit of support. Now we do things in a slightly different way. Now there is a student government for our online program. They provide some we'll say like unofficial mentoring. But we
Mhm.
also do have what we call MBA communication coaches. Again, these are upper class students that have gone through certain experiences that we pay as a school to go and help our candidates for whatever they may need. And now it could be a lot of time on the interviewing side. It could also be some written communication they have to put in, and or maybe they have to give presentations, whether it's just part of the job, whether it's part of an interview process. So these people are there just to make sure there's support from all sides. So you will get quite a bit of support overall.
Absolutely. Jennifer, how about at Johns Hopkins Carey?
Um, so a lot of similarities. So some really strong, dedicated support individuals. So sort of the life cycle. As an applicant, you work with me. If you decide to apply, you get assigned an enrollment manager. And if accepted and you enroll, one-on-one academic advising and one-on-one executive career leadership coaching. And I'm actually a former career advisor. So even when I'm just talking to a student like super early, I really encourage them to like get in touch with those people. They're so knowledgeable. And even if you're really happy in your career, you're just coming to get the skill set, or potentially a raise or a promotion, just to engage with them, even if you're sort of passively looking. But I think something I'd include that hasn't been said would be to start with the world-class faculty at Johns Hopkins or wherever you end up. I'm hearing more and more when I connect with current students, recent alums, they're like, I was just talking to Professor so and he or she are the ones that got me connected with this incredible job opportunity. So this kind of this sort of preparation where you're always ready to kind of network and see what might be out there is really going to pay off in business school.
Yeah, great point. I haven't heard that one for a while. Erin, how about at American Kogod?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think there's a lot of similarities across the board and across the schools, which makes sense because we're all great programs getting students wonderful jobs. But so for us, you have your academic advisors, and the academic advisors are the same for our online or our residential students. They're available for residential and online, and you are assigned an academic advisor based on your program. So Renee works with our MBA students, for example, and she'll help you plan all of that out, making sure your curriculum's working, all of those things. And then you have the career side and as was mentioned, also those career sort of areas of interest. So if you're interested in consulting, you'd work with Caroline. If you're interested in finance, you'll work with, et cetera, kind of down very similar. And of course, Jennifer stole my point on faculty. I was thinking I was going to add that as well, as I think faculty are such a great addition. And I think the unique thing for Kogod is we are a smaller business school. So our online MBA program is not giant. Your professors are gonna know you by name if you stop in for their virtual office hours. It's not gonna be, oh, which class are you in with me again? It's gonna say, hey, you didn't understand that concept we talked about last week. And you're like, no, I didn't. Can we talk about it? Like very much knowing you. And that's the same thing. I've seen our academic advisors go down the hallway like, hey, Aaron, how did your interview go last week? Like, because they remember that you had an interview last week, like those kinds of things. So really a big community. And so like Jennifer was saying, don't, sleep on working with those faculty, with those staff. Everybody's available to help you kind of figure out your next step.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, JR, let's talk about maybe kind of the next thing, MBAs are really kind of looking for, and that's the network. Tell us about the alumni network at CMU Tepper they would have access to, and maybe how you see them fostering kind of a community, connections in that online environment.
Yeah. So again, I mean, we'll go back. Everything starts with those in-person weekends. You create this tight-knit bond. What's interesting about that is because we still have those weekends when they're virtually, a lot of people in their given cities will also then get together with people that are kind of in that same area. So you try to have this constant connection. When we go and visit these different places, our alumni are usually ones that are hosting us at these different places. So we're trying to keep them involved. We invite them back for things. We actually have a lunch with an alum series, so we're bringing people back to campus. And for our online students, we're bringing them in the virtual environment, and those are small groups. So we usually have maybe like one every week, one every other week, 10 students, one alum, open conversations. So overall, we're really making sure that our students are consistently connected. And it's just part of the overall program and environment. And so it's something we're known for, but it's also people like to keep that going because it was what they did during the program, and that was one of their favorite parts. So it's been really good to kind of see that growing. And I would also say, in particular, for our online students, we have referral programs for all the programs we have. I think we get more referrals for our online program than any other.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's likely because of the community that's built during that and everybody really can be available for the online program at almost any given time due to its flexibility.
Yeah. So is that a segmented alumni network? Like there's the full-time MBAs and the online MBAs, or is it kind of like all just one like alumni network that you have access to?
So pretty much all together. So when we have the in-person, for example, like the lunch with alums, our online students can come to those if they're in Pittsburgh and it's just someone that they're really interested in, whether it's by company, person, or industry. But and it looks like other people were paused. I don't know if I was the only one there. Was everybody still hearing me or was it Christy that, okay. I wasn't sure if it was me because Christy, you paused on my screen. So I was
Yeah,
like, oh no,
yeah.
I'm not talking to anybody. So we only have one set of services across everything. We have the same alumni team, same career team, same professors, etc. So all of our students are getting the same access and network across the board.
Absolutely. Jennifer, how about at Johns Hopkins?
There's some ways that you can engage. I've talked about coming to campus for a 3-day class, doing something globally. But if it isn't, a commitment that you can make for a significant amount of time, case competitions, venture capital competition, Hexite, that's an organization where JH engineering students and business students and medical students work together. Career treks, you can do a technology trip for like a few days in Seattle or finance in New York. And in addition to that, if you're not near Baltimore or DC, Hopkins is a pretty global place with a major alumni club in most big global cities. So there's going to be lots of ways to connect. And that second part of your question, Christy, you wouldn't be just part of the Johns Hopkins Carey Business School network. Because, like I said in the beginning, that's not the biggest Johns Hopkins network. We've only been around for about 25 years, the
Right.
second to youngest of 10 Hopkins graduate schools. But that makes a lot of Blue Jays worldwide, probably. I think it's like over 300,000. So no matter what career field you're interested in or where you go on the globe, you can probably find someone to network with from Hopkins with a similar interest.
Yeah, absolutely. Erin.
Yeah, so I think again, there's a lot of symmetry between the different programs. Again, our alumni are wonderful, and I was saying earlier about our smaller, tight-knit community that then makes our alumni very connected to us when they graduate. Yesterday, I got a text from one of our MBA alums saying, "Hey, I have a friend who wants to do an MBA. Can I put you guys in touch?" Like, truly just texted my personal cell phone. Of course, Ken, I'd ha be happy to talk with him. So, chat with him, hoping he's gonna join us. But those kinds of things happen. Like that happens regularly for myself and for the other staff and faculty at Kogod, where we are very connected. I think we've kind of already talked about, we invite our online students to all of our events. Whenever we have speakers or sessions on campus, we make sure that there's an online option so you can still be engaged and part of it, even though, and still ask questions or just questions through the online, chat versus being in person. We'll do, I think somebody mentioned alumni roundtables. A lot of times what we'll do is when we have a speaker, we'll do a roundtable with that speaker ahead of time, and we'll invite both online and in person. So then maybe there's only 10 people who are having this one-on-one conversation with the CEO of Marriott, and then the CEO goes and does their whole panel presentation for everyone. But you have that more intimate, and we'll Zoom people in if you're an internet, an online student who's not local. And then we, of course, have our two immersions, so you can really get to know people that way. But generally speaking, making sure that our online students have all of those resources, and our online students have access to all of the Kogod alums. Sometimes there's an alum who did, undergrad at Kogod, but they happen to be now 10 years later working in a field that one of our online MBA wants to do. They're always happy to connect and do that sort of thing as well. So it's a broad range of access.
So thinking of unique offerings that I can talk about at Georgetown, I think it's helpful to remember, and I know this is true for all of us, that you're not just joining the online MBA alumni or even the MBA alumni, you're joining the alumni network of the broader university and how that can support you reputationally from a networking standpoint, a brand standpoint moving forward. I just pulled up some quick stats because I should probably know these anyway. So Georgetown has over 215,000 alumni, McDonough, the business school, about 30,000, MBA, about 10,000, and then across 189, not 190, 189 countries globally. So that's the kind of network that you'd be joining. The only other unique thing I would add is we have an initiative that's now been around for 2 years called Empower Her. So Empower Her was started by my boss, the Senior Associate Dean, Sudipta Dasmopatra, where she has pulled together a community of women leaders. Actually, there's some male allies who support women in leadership, who are part of this organization too. And they travel around actually globally, mainly in the US, but globally, where our dean of the career and then our dean of the MBA program, my boss, they gather together alumni who are part of this Empower Her organization, who all believe in this philosophy of supporting women as they grow in their careers. They are all MBA alumni. And we always invite prospective students to attend these events, to network and to be inspired. And we always prioritize our part-time and online students first over our full-time students, because our full-time students already get more direct access, being on campus. So we really want to try to even out the opportunity. And it's been really phenomenal. Again, this is just a 2-year in initiative, but our students have seen the post-MBA journey and how these relationships continue. And so I just wanted to mention that as an opportunity too.
Okay, so at the Johns Hopkins Carey Business School, Flex MBA students can start in fall, spring, or summer. We break each application or each term into 3 rounds. Um, and the application itself is pretty straightforward. I bet we all share something in common. I think that we don't require standardized test scores, GMATs, or GREs for part-time programs. And honestly, I'll say at Hopkins, so a question I bet we all get a lot is, okay, so you don't require it, but is it going to look better if I do it? And up until recently, I was like, well, I mean, it was a tough question to answer. But our enrollment team said, Jen, it's just not part of the application at this point. So it truly is a comprehensive evaluation of 2 essay questions, 1 recommendation, an updated resume, um, and transcripts. So all of that sort of speaks for itself. And some people, they're not ready to pull the trigger. They spend 6 months working on all of that. And some people, I talk to them, they're like, this sounds great. I'll do it this weekend. So part-time students tend to, start when they're ready.
I agree with Jennifer. We are test optional as well. And I always recommend students, as you're thinking about, do I want to take the test or not? It's really about what's going to put you in the best light. Because for us, it's either take the GMAT, the GRE, or submit an essay discussing your quantitative skills. So if you don't do the test, you have an extra essay to write. And I use my sister and myself as an example. I don't mind standardized tests. I usually get a little adrenaline rush and it goes fine. I'm not saying I'm the smart, but like they go fine. My sister, who is an engineer and very smart, once wrote her name wrong on a standardized test because she gets so nervous. If you're the one who gets nervous, write the essay. If you don't mind a standardized test and you think you can do well and show off your skill sets that way, you take the standardized test. It's really up to you on what works best for you. And I think the other piece that I would throw out as far as when you're doing the application is, and Jennifer kind of alluded to it, talk to us. We're happy to answer your questions. If you're debating whether you want to, if you're debating if you need to write an optional essay or not, talk to us. We can help you think through that. The admissions teams are always here to help you do this. You're not, you're not supposed to do it blind. We want to be helping you with it.
For the online MBA program, so we have one intake a year in the fall. You've got 3 formal rounds where you can apply, and then early action, so 4 rounds total. Most of our online students actually apply in round 2 or round 3 versus the full-time students who are applying earlier. My assumption is they just need more time to work with their employers and to get that coordinated. So no problem at all. We assume that to be true. Yep, use us, rely on us as advisors, admissions advisors, to coach you through the process. The only unique part of our application, I know Jennifer walked through the different components. is we require a video essay as well. It's a 1-minute video essay where you're recording, usually on your phone or on your work laptop, whatever is accessible to you, where you're telling us essentially how you're spending your time outside of work. What are you passionate, interested about, so we can get to know you more as a fuller person. Otherwise, all the standard application requirements apply. And I think the thing that holds up candidates the most in terms of hitting submit are those darn recommenders, because no matter how much you tell them about submit, they have to be the one to do so. So plan early with your references. Let them know when you're ready, when you are planning to hit submit button, and ensure your rec isn't ahead of that. Because it's annoying to everyone when you submit your application, it's incomplete, and we have to wait on that rec. So just make sure y'all are coordinated. Those are the only things I would add. JR, please.
Awesome. Well, it is a great transition because we also only have one entry a year. So we are just a fall entry program. Similarly, we have some formal rounds throughout the year, and then we go into rolling as we get into the kind of summer months. What is different for us is we've gone to a two-phase application this year. What we're hearing from candidates is they would like a little bit of feedback before doing the complete application. So we have a very short initial resume, transcripts, feedback. Invite you to complete the rest of the application as well as to interview for the program. And we will give you dates and time or possibly move to a different round. We have similar components to the application. We also have a video essay. We actually ask that for your career goals because we think it's better for you to articulate that a little bit more in a communication style verbally rather than just in written format, and all the other things people said. I know we're coming to the end here, so I'll kind of do my little close off and then I'll let everybody else in the group kind of do a little final statement. It was wonderful spending this time, with you all today. It's pretty easy to find me or Tepper online. We have application workshops, info sessions, etc. So no matter what you are interested in finding out, or if you are already ready to apply and you want to get the details or get feedback on that, jump in on one of the workshops. But if anybody ever wanted to reach out to me directly, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have. So turn it back over to Anne, and then we can kind of run back through the group.
Thanks, JR. So thanks so much for your time today, folks, for getting to know us and the programs. You're taking the first step. You're taking an important step in your journey, and that you are gathering information so that you can be more informed as you move forward in the process. So good for you. In terms of staying connected to us at Georgetown, I was just on the MBA website, and in the search bar, I typed student ambassadors, but I think you could type MBA staff, you could type program office staff, just staff probably, and you get the right web page. There's a Connect with Us web page that has a chat function where you can text chat with all of us if you choose. You can also request Zoom calls with all of us. And then, of course, we have our events page where you can register for things. So no excuses to engage with us. There's lots of ways to do so, and I hope you do. Thank you. Over to Erin.
Great. Well, thank you. So echoing everyone again, it's been wonderful chatting with everybody. I hope that this was helpful. I hope you learned a little something new. I changed my name in here for our email address. That's kogodgrad@american.edu. And as Anne was saying, if you'd like to talk to someone from admissions, if you'd like to talk with a professor, if you'd like to talk with a current student, we're happy to do any of those things. We're happy to answer questions via email. Just let us know. The fastest way to do that is to start with an email, and then we can, connect in whatever way you would like to connect. So it was absolutely wonderful being here, and hope to hear from you.
Thanks, Erin. And everybody, this is great. This has been so much fun. So I mentioned in the beginning, 4 years. So I might be like sort of a fairly new admissions professional. So I've learned a lot from all of you. I also learned something technological. I also just changed my email on my name there. And like Ann said, if you search up Carey Business School, you should definitely be able to connect with the admissions team, make an appointment, email us. And a quick plug for an event that I'm hosting next Tuesday evening. Just something like this where we're talking about the school, the admissions process, 6 p.m. virtual. And just some general advice. I mean, if you're watching this, you're obviously doing the right things. It might feel overwhelming, but the more people you talk to, so us, students, alums. I think all of that just eventually narrows you down to the right decision, and it does become obvious eventually. So just keep talking to people and networking would be my advice. Thanks, poets and quants. Thanks, everybody.